Well, there is some absolutely big news again about Manor Lords. Hello again there, friends and fans, Raptor here, and if you haven't heard, Manor Lords recently had a big update that included crossbows and butchers and many great changes to the game that were highly anticipated for quite some time. But the update has another update. Greg, the lead dev, has now dropped a big update, a small update. I don't know what you would call it, but honestly, this one small thing, I think, makes a gargantuan difference to the game, something we've always been wanting since day one, or even well before that. Ladies and gentlemen, we finally have pigs. Yeah, I know. Now, look, if you're thinking that's insignificant, perhaps it is. It is a very small change, and it's now an extension to the animal pen, which you can build. Basically, before where you would take a burgage plot and just turn it into a goat pen, that way you would just get extra hides. Well, now you could choose between buying either goats or pigs. So you can now upgrade the pen, and it'll be empty, and then you'll have to upgrade or purchase again an animal that you want to put in there. So pigs or goats can go in there, and they'll give you 2 meat for the pigs or meat and hide for the goats. So they both produce meat, but one will produce slightly more. Now that's a huge change, because with this like the big update and the new stuff, it's still really hard to get enough meat to feed everyone. And that was a lot of people's biggest complaint about Manor Lords for the longest time, that even if you're hunting, even if you're importing, even if you're fishing, it's still hard to get enough protein, both meat and fish, to feed everyone. And so now, hopefully, with us being able to get good old-fashioned medieval-style pigs, well, hopefully that's going to be enough to feed everyone meat, and then additionally other foods like berries and bread, and maybe even beer, which is still hard to get. But Greg is still hard at work making changes. There are adjustments now, for example, the communal oven requiring refueling, and then there's some other bug fixes, things like, for example, the trapping wasn't necessarily working until you would reload the game. So you would, for example, unlock the trapping bonus for the hunter, which would provide a passive meat income, a PMI as I call it, and that wouldn't take effect until you saved and reloaded the game. So still a lot of development to do in this one, but a big change that's really welcome, and I'm really excited to show you it today. So let's take a tour of our city and let's see piggies in action. Now, a real quick note here, if you've missed some of the recent changes to Manor Lords, definitely go back on the channel and check out some of the other videos covering what's new to this big update as a whole. And then, of course, we're going to take a look now at the update to the update. But, like, for example, the intro screen here is a little different in the background. You might notice it looks a little different. There's additionally new characters, and I think it's a good idea to reiterate some of these things for those of you who may have recently got into Manor Lords or who have basically been busy with other games and are coming on back. So, first of all, if you go to Steam for this game, there is a little bit of an intro or a tutorial on how to get to this beta version. Essentially, you'll right-click on the game on Steam, go to Properties, and type in a code that is very nice basket with the N and the B in nice and basket capitalized and all one word. But check Steam for details on all the detailed patch notes and more information on how to do that. Real quick, there's a few new portraits that we have to choose from, and a couple of more, I think, emblems here, symbols that you can choose for your coat of arms. We've already got a game started here. Is this Lady Victoria is what we've named her, our cool little snake symbol. So we're going to check out that city and then take a little bit of a tour around. Now, there's still a long way to go in this game. I found some exploits, like, for example, in the midst of battle, loading a game will stop the enemy army from moving into positions, and if you're in the middle of a battle and you have to go or something like that, it kind of breaks that battle going on, and could also be used as an exploit to stop the enemy from taking over other territories, to which he's still very much aggressive. And I know many of you are really wanting to see sieges in this game, but more importantly, AI cities in order to be able to siege. Greg is definitely working on it, but I think the most important thing here is to give us more to do as the player first before we see the AI do anything. If Greg is able to flesh out the city building on our side, then the AI will be able to do all the things that we could do and more, hopefully. So let's jump back into our city. We're in the midst of a battle, but I want to show you the pigs, the goats, and what we've been working on since the biggest, most recent update to Manor Lords, the beta as a whole. All right, let's begin. Ahoy. So we're out here just chilling in the city of Brambor, aka Potato, and we've got ourselves the battle for Nuslo going on, and we're kind of just really getting started here. We've only captured one territory with another one over here about to be settled, so we're really kind of towards the beginning of the game, although we've spent maybe about 15 plus hours getting everything ready. We have ourselves some enemy forces here, and the game is not paused any longer. The enemy is just kind of standing around, not moving to where the battle should be, so that exploit I mentioned is still there, and it's really not intentional. I even saved at the end of a stream to showcase it later, But yeah, the enemy's not going to move into position. That works at our advantage. So we're supposed to fight here. We're going to take that territory. And honestly, the enemy is still very aggressive, taking almost the entire map within a few years, and still starting to work on that within like the first year or so. So anyway, here's our city, looking real nice. We have ourselves really a village that's thriving. A big city that I'm trying to build. A little more gridiron here, just a bit, to try to get those burgage plots looking real nice, and trying to take some of the designs I've seen from like Kingdom Come Deliverance and try to, I don't know, make buildings that look nice when they're next to each other. But really, this game shines by building more free-looking cities that are kind of, more naturally blended in with the land. And we have ourselves a lot of burgage plots here that are ready to go and be upgraded into our animal pens now. I used to call them goat pens. They would be 2 animals to choose from. You would have your basically your chickens or your goats, as you see here, and that was about it. Now the goats provide 1 meat and 1 hide whenever they're ready, so long as you have your butcher ready. So since we played a little bit, we're going to take a look at the butcher here. We have a butcher shop ready to go, which can do a bunch of different things now in terms of curing meat. So if we take a look here at the butcher shop, we can see that they can make, just basically generally meat from sheep and lamb, and that way we can provide extra meat from that. There also should be meat coming from the goats too, and then of course the pigs eventually, so we'll have to kind of keep an eye on that and make sure that works. But yes, we can set production limits now, and that's one of the major things in the new update too. But also, as it says here, sausages. So we can take that meat that we're making and we can actually cure it into sausages, to which there is now a meat that will spoil. So animals, of course, can be slaughtered. We can make meat out of that. It'll last longer if we salt it. So that's the purpose of the sausages. So you could basically have 2 butcher shops here, one making meat from the sheeps and the lambs or any other sources, and then you could have another one making all of the meat that you have into sausages. So if you're importing it or if you're using the hunter, that can be brought over there and then turned to that. So and then of course, if you didn't know, we have ourselves crossbows now, to which we're making those here, I think, or at least we have the option to. Yeah, so we're making crossbows which require planks and iron parts now to make, and those can sell for quite a bit of money. So some tweaks and refinement there to that, and they certainly will get you a lot of cash, to which we're doing all right on cash, actually. It's low, but we've got a good cash flow of different things that we're doing. So we'll have to wait for a little bit of money to come in, regional wealth, if you will, in order to get the animal pens. So right now at the bottom of the map, I've done what we would normally do in Manor Lords, is we built a livestock trading post in order to get what I thought would be other animals in the future. So right now in the game, we can only import oxen, mules, and horses. You can't breed them. No animal husbandry for them. But, of course, you can import lambs now, or as you always could, and then you can then turn them into sheep through a perk in the game. So if you click on your city, you'll have your sheep breeding going on up here. So that means that sheep grazing on pastures will slowly multiply. So you'll have another food source there, and the trapping should be fixed, as I mentioned before. And then we also have it so we can do advanced skinning. So we should have really no problem getting enough meat here. We've got the hunters out hunting I think, a rich deposit of deer. We have trapping going on too to add to that, as well as advanced skinning to add even more to that. And then that also applies to the, as it says there, the butchers and the animal pens. So everything that produces meat should benefit from advanced skinning, and then also sheep breeding too, because that'll tie in with the butcher. So so we can import our sheep here, or other things like oxen or whatnot. And then I've got a big old sheep farm here to hold up to, I hope, like 50 sheep. They should be able to live comfortably here and, frolic around as happy as they may be. And then once we get some cash, I'll show you exactly what's going on with the sheep. So we have a burgage plot level 1 here. I'm going to go ahead and upgrade this. And this is where you'll get your animal pen. So as you see here, it says allows for keeping of either goats or pigs in the backyard. Pigs provide a strong passive source of meat, while goats provide a passive source of both meat and hides. So definitely a decision to make there. And I'm not entirely sure if the burgage plot still increases the yield from them, as you would imagine the larger the burgage plot, the more pigs you'd be able to support, or goats. So we'll just go with that and have them upgrade that. Now, there's still some testing going on from our end on certain things, and it's still not necessarily 100% confirmed with all the changes, but there were some thoughts that the burgage plots that were making carrots that were very large, although it definitely says it in the game that the bigger the burgage plot, the higher the yield for things like vegetables, or as I just said, carrots, although they're visibly growing things like cabbages, carrots, maybe even onions too. Bigger was better. They would produce more, and oftentimes you would have your general pantry or generic storage filled up by all the different types of crops that you were growing. And so it's always a good idea to have a nearby granary in order to support that. It's winter right now, so things are kind of shut down. But it looked like it was taking too long for them to harvest, so some people were suspecting that perhaps a smaller burgage plot would have worked. So we were kind of experimenting with both big and large. Good idea to do in a beta to find out what might be broken, especially since the newest update also includes Unreal Engine 5. So the game kind of had to be, I guess for lack of a better term, rebuilt in the whole new engine. So cool to see. So we're waiting for a little bit of cash to come in. Lo and behold, we have it, 208 bucks. Awesome, good to see. And we're going to upgrade our little burgage plot here. And some planks will be brought over to build the pen for the pigs. And then those pigs, of course, will do their best to grow and then be brought over to the butcher. Now, Greg shows that these are good old-fashioned medieval pigs, which are different to modern pigs. They're more similar to wild pigs or boars, and they're a little more smaller or skinnier. They're not, like they say, modern pigs. They're not that. So we'll have to see what happens with future animals and other sizes and things that we can get, like, for example, oxen and breeding. Let's go ahead and jump on down to our visit mode. I think, yeah, currently you are supposed to be able to play as the lady in your visit mode, and the model should be working, but apparently not for this character here. But the other one should be working. I guess the new model is just not functional at the moment. I swear, when that guy dropped off that carcass there, I think there was actually snow on the animal itself. You can kind of see snow on people's outfits, so I wonder if the animal carcass he was carrying around actually had snow on it. A little early refrigeration, if you will. Now, I wonder if things like, for example, winter is taken into account for food preservation. You would think that I don't know if they'd use root cellars here, that's why we have the granary, but you'd think things like that would be better for preserving, especially in the winter months for certain things. Underground it wouldn't freeze, but it would certainly be a lot colder, so that would only be a good thing. But that's why you do that for temperature control. City's not looking too bad. I like our buildings looking like this. It really reminds me a bit of Kingdom Come Deliverance. And whenever I build a city in this game, I always build my church. I always build my market square next to that. I always build it square. And thus, I have kind of a gridiron around the initial city for the first few blocks. It's all square. And then I try to blend it in a little bit more. So far, so good. And a little bit of room to grow for all the different shops and other things that might unlock eventually. So pretty cool to see. So this is not a new save per se, but it is a newer save just for this beta. So for those of you who are wanting to maybe import your saves over and you're thinking, okay, I'm sold, I want to now try the beta, remember, it is imperative that you first save a copy of your saves before you upgrade to the beta. And if anything breaks, then you can, of course, have your traditional city in the current version of the game, the released version, not the beta version, and you should be okay there. So it gives you a chance at least to take cities that you've already built, and you can upgrade to the beta and then start doing these things here. Although, I would imagine that for any burgage plot that has sheep in it, or rather goats, I mean, you'll have to destroy it. You'll have to click the destroy button if you've already got something else there. Oh, great. The enemy's sending over more units. We won't worry about the battle for today. That shall be fought another day. But yeah, so in order to do that, in order to reorganize a burgage plot, I think, can we not do it here? Should be a way to actually delete a burgage plot and then adjust it to be something else. So, yeah, with the carrots here, if you wanted to make this into a goat pen, you would delete that there, and then you could go back and make it an animal pen. So if you have sheeps there, or sorry, goats. If you have goats in a burgage plot and you're like, I want to change that to pigs, then you can do it that way. All right, looks like the pig pen is ready. So we got ourselves a nice little pen there and a huge area for them to go and frolic in, and now we can order pigs. So now we have to buy them with either 20 silver for the pigs or for the goats. So we'll go with the piggies and see how they work out. And look at that. It is starting to thaw. What a wonderful time to have pigs. They're going to be hungry. We'll have lots of food for them. Now, you'd imagine that pigs and goats would eat a lot. I don't see yet in the game any animals that are consuming food that you're raising. The sheep, for example, can live off the grass in their little pens. And then we've got goats and pigs here that I guess just live off the burgage plots too. So it's not like they're bringing over carrots or grain or anything for them that I've seen so far. But if that changes or if that's not the case, make sure you mention it down below. And definitely ask any questions you may have, because the most important thing about this community for everyone who plays Manor Lords is we want everybody to have a good time. It's like being at Disneyland or Disney World. We want to make sure everybody's having a good time. And check this out. We got ourselves piggies. All right, we got one at least. Okay, so we have ourselves a pig. Looks like he backed himself into the parking spot. How you doing, buddy? Wow, look at that, detailed. Got a little bit of snow on him. Little tail moving there. He is animated a little bit, but he's just kind of chilling. We'll have to see if more show up. And there you go, another one. Okay. So I'm not sure, again, if the size of this plot means that we'll get more pigs, which means a higher yield for the butcher, but it certainly is worth experimenting with to try to give huge animal pens a larger space for more animals. Now, we're only paying 20 silver, but I could imagine in the future maybe there'll be a slider in order to order more pigs. Since we have production sliders where we can set a limit for certain things like war bows and crossbows, it might be a nice idea to make a large animal pen like this, start with just 2 pigs for, like, let's say, I don't know, 4 silver or something like that, and then continuously order more. And then, you know, you would then be able to raise a few. And maybe even instead of importing meat, you would import pigs, which maybe would be cheaper. And then, well, I don't know. It seems like it'd be cheaper to just import 2 meat rather than 2 pigs. But there could be piglets in the future. Since we do have lambs, it would be really cool if we had chicks from the chicken coops over here. And then, of course, we would have little goats and things like that to eventually grow up. So we could buy them while they're small, wait a couple of years. It would be like waiting for the apple orchards. A little more realism where you'd have to wait 2 or 3 years for an animal to fully grow before then it could be slaughtered. Or even, like, for example, with the goats, you could milk them and get milk. That should be a thing. And also, of course, to slaughter them, you'd get hides. So what do we have here? 2 so far. I think this number may increase over time. But at least they're animated, trying to forge things here in the snow. And I think it's starting to get a little warmer here. I saw a little thawing by the house, so we should continue to see that, which is really nice. What month is it anyway? It is currently February, so not quite, but it will start thawing soon. We're right around the corner for that. And in fact, actually, I'm starting to see a little thaw, so that's pretty cool. So that small update, I think, is massive. In addition to the fact that we now have a fishing site up here, which, again, these will freeze in the winter, and then there is a skill that you can unlock to be able to fish during the winter, and all you need to do is build a fishing building nearby. You don't build a dock or whatnot, you just build like a fishing, like a fishery. Someone will walk out there with a bobber, you know, and do some bobber fishing and then bring it all back. Now, fish too can be salted, and so we have a salt mine over here, a salt deposit. We can import salt, or we can mine that with the regular mining thing. So this all ties into food. So if we go to the mining, here we can see that the stone cutter will mine only stone, but the mining pit, which shows the iron ore and the clay symbol, also does salt. It does not have that symbol there, but just keep that in mind. I also think that should be changed for the burgage plot for the animal pen, because it shows a goat. So some players might not think, oh, I don't have an option to buy pigs. You know, just make sure you click on that and build that first. You have to go within that menu for the burgage plot in order to see that. But the mining pit, yeah, you build that right over here, and you can see all the salt. And then people will be able to store that. 181 is a good amount of salt, but you'll never have enough to continuously mine forever. So you'll have to do some other exports in order to import that. So yeah, let's see how we're doing with meat. So right now we see we've only got 1 month of food. Makes sense, it's spring, so we're basically at the end of our food. And if we take a look here, we've still look at that, we still only got 1 meat. So food is still a very difficult thing to manage. I haven't been seeing a lot of it spoil. But during the spring and summer months, we do have a lot of berries over here. I've got actually 2 really good deposits for berries, so much so that I'm actually making berry dye, and I have a few foragers working that get fully stocked, and so much so that I had to build a second one to carry the overflow, and a granary to hopefully get all those carrots, you know, the vegetables, and also the berries. So still having a lot of problems storing food and having enough of it to store. So meat is still very much a problem. We'll have to see, you know, with later development in this map, if the fish and the changes to having pigs and, of course, goats now also producing meat and also hides, if that will be a good thing. So now our goal will be to take all the money that the city's making and find all the burgage plots that don't have any sort of activity going on, and then try to take those to upgrade them to animal pens to then try to get some more meat. I really want to have a large amount of meat stored, and I feel like there should be more options for meat too. We should be able to smoke fish, and we should also be able to smoke speak to your physician before doing so. Probably not a healthy thing, but smoking meat and fish should be a very basic thing we could do with just firewood and a smokehouse. And I think salt should go beyond that and preserve that even more. Maybe add happiness or something, because it'll actually be flavored in a way. So salted meats and salted fish should be a thing, in addition to sausage, in addition to smoked meat and fish as well. So that would be a great thing. But we have plenty of food here in the game. We have options for fish. That's a new thing. We have honey, which has been around for a while. We have apples, which take a long time to actually grow, and it's tough to get enough of them, but I feel like that could definitely go for more of a... I would love to see a brewery eventually and make cider, which would be cool. And then, of course, more things onto what we can already brew from barley, making beer, ale, it is. And then bread, berries, vegetables. Be cool if we were able to make some sort of preserves or jams from that with berries. I'm not sure if that was a thing, but I just want to see more and more food types to where we can take things that we already have and make it into something else with just additional labor. So we were able to get a few people to work in a building to make something different out of it. Like, for example, here we have our dyer's workshop, and we got people working through the winter because we did have berries stored. Sure makes a lot of money for the city. And that's a good early resource, especially if you got extra berries. But the new update also did add, I saw multiple deposits of the same resource now. So you can actually have, like, yeah, 2 animal deposits or 2 stone deposits or whatever. And it's really cool to be able to have, like, yeah, it'd be really cool to be able to start in an area that has 2 wild animal deposits here, like we see. And I think we may have one at our initial. No, we don't. We have 2 for berries, so we could sell that for dye. But I think ideally you want, if you're trying to feed everybody, you got to have 2 wild animal deposits, as they say. And then you're probably going to also want to do this, where you activate under, and I forgot about this until recently, the policies. Make sure you activate the hunting grounds policy, because that makes it so wild animals on rich deposits, make sure it's rich deposits, breed twice as fast at the cost of 50% reduced yields from crops. So it's implied that they'll be eating your crops. But if you haven't started farming yet, it's a genius way, or if you don't have a lot of fertility in a city like Brambor, which we don't, and we'll be going elsewhere for farming, this is perfect for all your meat. So hopefully that means that these animals will breed faster. We can produce more meat from that deposit. And then we can also import meat. Then we've got meat from pigs. We've got meat from goats. But, you know, we should also have meat from chickens. I feel like if we have chickens in there, it's just going to be a matter of time with all the balancing. All sorts of cool stuff. Oh, and we got more bandit camps coming in. Let's go. Very nice. Good to see. Bandits are a great way to make influence and money. So there you go. All right, everyone. Well, that is it for today's brief video. I think that is a massive change. You know, just saying, oh, they just added pigs, that adds nothing. What do you mean? That is something that many players have been asking for since day one. We need pigs, we need pigs, we need pigs. And now we have them. And now we can get them very easily just with 20 silver, which is pretty much how it goes with all the mules and the oxen and everything else. They're about 10, 20 for those. So pretty cool to see. Can't wait to see whatever Greg adds next. I'm really happy to see a step forward and the beta not only just being bug fixed, but also we get something new in addition to a bunch of fixes and changes, cosmetic things or whatnot. The Steam notes are all there. Make sure you go check out the open beta and bug fix is in Piggies from Sunday, September 8th, if you want to read all the patch notes for this. And then also make sure that you've updated your game through what I mentioned about the very nice basket code. If anybody needs that code, we'll have that down below in the comment section, so just ask for it and we'll reply, because some people might miss that. So thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Welcome back to Manor Lords in our city. I hope you enjoyed the tour, and I hope to see you again here soon on the channel for more live streams and more news on Manor Lords. Have a good day. Good day, ma'am. We'll see you all soon. Sir, thank you for subscribing, sir. Hey, did you turn on the notification bell? Well, well, well. I guess not. Interesting. All right, take care. Bye.